of the most marvelous holy motors. I am speechless, but I'll try to ask you questions that are not too gross. This is a film that makes you laugh and cry at the same time. It is a film of synthesizing many contradictions. And I wondered if it was a long time between this film and your last film, but when you started to write it, did it take you a long time or did it happen all at once?
No, the film mainly started out of my rage not to be able to make films. So I was supposed to make a film in London and it didn't happen, so then I imagined the film very fast. Yeah, the film was imagined fast, and the idea was to shoot it very fast, which didn't happen because we had trouble finding the money.
Okay. It is most obviously a film about cinema and particular strain of cinema. Yeah, surrealist cinema. And so, and celebration of that?
It's not a film about cinema. I don't. The language of the film is cinema, but I see it as a kind of science fiction with more fiction than science. It's a world not too far from our world, but where I try to find a world where you could see in a short time, in one day, you could see try to tell about the experience of being alive in this world. So cinema is the language, but it's not about cinema.
Do you think it is as much about memory as it is about living in the present?
Yeah, it's about experience, the experience of being alive. So it goes through, I think, in one day. If it succeeds, you're supposed to see all the feelings and emotions you usually experience in a lifetime.
So let me ask you a concrete question. If you could do this totally as you wanted to, would you have preferred to shoot it in celluloid rather than in digital? And what's the meaning of shooting it in digital?
We are mutants, we're always mutants. So a few years before, I did a film in Tokyo. It was a short film, and I shot it for the first time in digital. I had no choice. So I had to give up film, celluloid, which of course is sad, but that's how you live. You have to abandon stuff all the time in order to survive. So that's I'm not against digital. It's just that it was imposed on us for bad reasons, and it's not ready. And it's still very ugly, and nobody knows how to deal with it. But I have to do with it.
But let's see how to put this. part of the sense of loss that is there in the film. I mean, the film is both a celebration with many sublime celebratory moments, and it is also a kind of act of mourning, the what's lost. And part of what's lost is celluloid. And you even say it when in that scene with the cameras used to be heavier than us, and now you can't even see them.
Yeah, I still believe that, I mean, it's a miracle cinema exists, you know. It's a miracle it was invented. And the primitive power of cinema had to deal with this huge machine, which were cameras at the time. I still think, you know, when a camera would follow a man in let's say in a Murnau film, you had the feeling that it was God watching him. Now, if you have the same shot today on YouTube, made by anyone today, you won't have this feeling. But that's okay. Cinema has always had to reinvent itself to find that power again.
And do you want to say a little bit about working with Denis Lavant, and who is so marvelous in this film and could play all these characters in full-length films, each of them, and so much is about his transformative power and ability.
Well, I don't know Denis. I met him when we were 20 years old, and we've made 4 or 5 films together. I don't know him in real life. I mean, he's not a friend. We don't have dinner together, and we've hardly talked together. So mainly, it goes through, you know, finding the right costume. How is he gonna walk or run, or physical stuff. In this case, of course, how he's gonna make up wigs, etc. But in the years that I didn't make any films, he grew as a better and better and greater actor. And that surprised me, because I had imagined scenes I thought he couldn't do. I still shot them thinking it was crazy, but he surprised me.
I mean, for me, the scene with the daughter in the car is the most surprising of all, because he seems like such an ordinary person.
I don't think he could have shot that a few years ago. I mean, that's what I mean by the fact that he became so wonderful and so great.
Okay, let's take some questions out here. Yeah, is there a mic going around? No mic, so shout it out and I'll repeat it.
Thank you for a wonderful film about life. I have a question about one of your thank yous. You thank Henry James, and I was wondering, is that Henry James Ford, who's the motorman, or Henry James, the author, or a bit of both?
The question is about the thank you to Henry James, which Henry James, and why?
Well, I thanked Henry for the scene in the hotel room, because I stole it. It's from Portrait of a Lady.
Yeah, a hand right here in the middle. Like, yeah.
In the middle of the film, a question popped up to me that may or may not be appropriate, but I wanted to ask you. Do you believe in class war? And if you do, what role will digital have in it?
Do you believe in class warfare? And if so, what role will digital have in it? Class war in the Marxist sense of class war.
That's why I should never do Q&As. I should do Q and Qs. I never thought about that. So I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah, down here.
Just absolutely amazing film. And what I love about your films is how you look at Paris. It's just as much a major character as anything else. So I'm just wondering, has the way you look at the city changed from some lovers on the bridge of the mopeds now, as the way you look at Paris changed, and how has it?
The question is about the city of Paris as a character in all the films, and has your view of it changed over the years?
Well, mostly in the last 20 years, I've tried to make projects, all my projects were away from France and not in French. But of all these films, I've only made one short film in Tokyo. So the kind of hate of Paris. But when I couldn't make my other films and I tried to make, I knew it, to make a film fast, I would have to shoot in Paris with Denis Lavant. It was, and actually I rediscovered Paris a bit while shooting this film, and I still like bridges in Paris, but that's about it.
Yeah, hands in the back. I'm not being fair. Okay.
Why Kylie Minogue, and what sort of input did she have as far as the character that she was playing?
Well, I knew I wanted a scene in that department store, because I've always loved this department store, and it's been closed a few years ago, and they're going to make a luxury hotel now. I just didn't know who would play opposite Denis. I knew it would be ghost-like, like two ghosts meeting. And then I thought of a song, and I still didn't know who would play that. But this film I was supposed to make in London, I had trouble casting the woman in the film, and a French director, Claire Denis, had mentioned Kylie Minogue. She had met her. I knew the name, but I didn't know anything about her. And I remembered that when I was looking for this woman, so I met Kylie Minogue that way.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, you in black. There are no mics.
I have seen almost all of your films, and I know that you devote special attention to law. And there is a dance in it that is so beautiful. With, I don't know who's the actress, in red, and it's a beautiful dance. It's originally yours, I know. But somehow, I don't know why, I had this feeling. I thought of Barbarella on that music, and I don't know if unconscious or conscious, you had that in your mind, or could you explain a little bit, because that is so beautiful in the film.
The question is about the motion capture scene and the dance, and particularly the erotic aspects of the dance.
I don't remember. I thought that motion capture was probably better to look at while they do it, actually, that the result. So usually they use motion capture to put to life monsters or superheroes, and I thought it would. I mean, I could film them as superheroes. These people doing the. She's not an actress. She's a contortionist. Do you say that?
Contortionist, yes.
Um,
Can I ask, did he really do those triple somersaults in air?
well, you would have to ask him.
Yeah. the question again is about Henry James and the particular scene from Portrait of a Lady. And did the director ever conceive of doing a more full rendering of a Henry James work?
Well, this particular scene is, to me, the most beautiful scene ever written between Isabel and her cousin in the book. The project I was supposed to make in London was from James, The Beast in the Jungle, but adapted today. But I don't think I'll ever do it.
Another question? Anyone back there? I can't see you, so you have to shout out. Yeah, in the middle, in black. Yeah.
I'd like to ask you about the framing of your shots. Sometimes they are exquisitely framed, and other times they look really quite casual. I'd like to know how you make that decision and if there's any conscious process that goes into setting up the shots so that they read in a certain way.
Okay, the question is about framing, and some of the shots seem very carefully framed, and some of them seem caught on the fly. And how are those decisions arrived at?
Well, I was very lucky when I started making films to meet the DP, which Jean-Yves Escoffier. We made 3 films together, and then he moved here. He moved to America, to Los Angeles, and then he died. And I think that's one reason too. It's okay not to do celluloid films anymore for me, because unless I have that relation with someone again, it's so much work, and it's such a great work to do, to work on shots, on light, etc. That if you don't have the right, we're like brothers, so if you don't have the right person, it's not worth doing. But the way now, this film or the film before I did in Tokyo, I produced, the way of working is a bit the same. It's fast, not much money, and I never look at the dailies, because I know that if I looked at the dailies, I would stop making the film, or I would remake everything. So there's the attention is much to framing, is much lower than it used to be in my films.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what seemed like many references to Eyes Without a Face?
The many references in the film to Eyes Without a Face, the French film.
There's one reference to. I like this woman a lot, Edith Scope, who plays the driver, and I'd filmed her in Love Is on the Bridge, like 20 years ago, but she was cut at the editing. There was only her hands and hair left. So I owed her a film, and that's when I thought of her for the driver. And she's a very poetic person. And actually, I only thought of Eyes Without a Face at the end of the shoot, when we decided to make that mask, not as a reference, because it felt right.
They're in a gray sweater? Yeah. Yeah, you.
Why are there 2 cinematographers credited, and how were their tasks divided up, and what cameras did you shoot?
Why are there 2 cinematographers? How were their tasks divided? And what camera did you shoot on?
We didn't shoot with the camera. we shot with a computer called Red Epic, I think.
Okay, the Red Epic.
To because we no, actually it's Caroline Champetier made the film as a DP, and then I didn't know who would play in the cemetery scene, so we had to stop shooting and find someone, and then we waited for Eva Mendes, and Caroline couldn't shoot that part, so it's Yves Cape, a man who shot a few scenes.
Someone else? Yeah. Jim again.
For me, it was an homage also to actors and the ability to change and create in front of an audience different people or different facets of the person. Can you talk a little bit about that part of it?
Well, yeah, I'm not especially interested in actors. But for this film, it was. I mean, to me, the film is about, as I said, about experience. Do we still want to experience stuff about, action? So, to shoot it with an actor made things possible, and also, as I said, to make it in one day. I invented this job that doesn't exist, of going from one life to the other, traveling from one life to the other. If I had wanted to make the same film, let's say with the butcher, or I would have, where a butcher that would be tired of being himself and wanting to reinvent himself, I would need a whole narrative with, where days passed and things happened to him, and I don't know how to do that. So by creating this kind of science fiction world of people as actors, I was able to condense the experiences.
Anyone else out here? Okay. Yeah.
The name Celine, did you check to select it on purpose? Celine. Reference to the famous French author.
The name of the driver, Celine, does it make a reference to?
It's not supposed to be, but in my films there are very few names. They're always the same because I don't have it. When you look for a name. So a lot of people called Celine, probably out of my love for Celine when I was 18, but I don't even think about it anymore.
Oh, going once, going twice, yeah.
The character of Mel seems to have a special connection with birds. I noticed he's looking up, we hear birds very loud. Before he goes underground into the sewers and he comes up. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Okay, the character of Merit, who appears also in the little film, in the short film made in Japan, does he have a connection to birds?
No, it just happened that in Tokyo they have lots of crows. Crows? Yeah. Crows. So when I got to Tokyo and we were shooting, there were crows all the time, so I told them to look at the crows, and then I kept that. Each time he came out of underground, you would hear these birds.
Yeah, last one.
Just curious about your screenwriting. Since you know you're going to direct the script, do you write anything just on film or just action and dialogue?
The question is, what is the form of the script prior to shooting, if there is one?
Well, I'm not a writer, so at one point I need to write it down, of course, for money people and for the crew, etc. And usually, I never improvise on the film, but I can, whatever's been imagined on paper can be rewritten or reimagined anytime. So it's, and then there's editing, of course. That's the real writing.
Thank you very, very much for the film and for the interview.
Merci.
Thank you all.